Whatsoever you do to the least of my people, that you do unto me.
I'm Bishop William Byrne. The annual Catholic Appeal is our chance to help those in need, the homeless, the hungry, and our partnering organization. Please join me in answering Jesus' call to love your neighbor by donating at diospringfield.org.
That you do unto me.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
This weekend, as we celebrate the church's birthday, we also celebrate New Catholics. I'm Carolee McGrath. I'll have the story coming up.
More than 400 students received diplomas from Elms College in Chicopee last weekend.
I'm Steve Kiltonic. As we remember our fallen heroes on Memorial Day, I'll speak with a Berkshire resident who has dedicated his life to ensuring that all veteran sacrifices are not forgotten.
It's all coming up for you next on Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome to Reel this Memorial Day weekend. It is important to keep in mind that this is first and foremost the time to remember those who have served our nation. Some who have given the ultimate sacrifice, and we remember them this Memorial Day. This weekend we are also celebrating Pentecost Sunday, sometimes referred to as the birthday of our church. And we have much to celebrate on this Pentecost, as this past Easter, the Catholic Church worldwide and here in Western Massachusetts saw record numbers of individuals who were welcomed into the church during the Easter Vigil. Carolee McGrath has more.
Sanctify this new fire, we pray.
Full of hope, people gathered outside of St. Jerome Parish in Holyoke for the Easter Vigil, which begins with a blazing fire signifying Jesus, the light of the world, has overcome the darkness. Father Francis Riley, the pastor, celebrated the Easter Vigil, which commemorates the resurrection of Jesus and is also a Mass where new Catholics enter the church and receive sacraments of initiation. St. Jerome's welcomed 36 people to the family at the Easter Vigil on April 4th. Aurelis Gonzalez was one of them.
Amazing. I cried.
Aurelis received the sacrament of confirmation at the Easter Vigil. She had been away from the church for a number of reasons, including dealing with the unimaginable loss of her brother several years ago in a tragic accident, and then the loss of her daughter's father from cancer. But she says her mother's prayers led her back.
My mom's always been on me for years to do it. I came to sign up my daughter actually, and then right on the spot I was like, you know what, I'll sign up for myself.
Her daughter was confirmed at St. Jerome's a week later. Ada Cruz was also confirmed at the Easter Vigil.
I would go occasionally, not as often. I think we didn't make the time. I think it's what it was. Yeah. It's time consuming, but when my friend Maribel's mom passed away, and she's a diehard Catholic, and she needed a support. So, sorry. I was her support.
Her friend Maribel was her sponsor. Aurelis and Ada joined millions of Catholics around the world who are part of something special, a revival of sorts. Dioceses worldwide are reporting an uptick in new Catholics. According to Hallow, dioceses in the United States reported a 38% increase in new Catholics. The Diocese of Springfield welcomed 279 new Catholics into the church at the Easter Vigil, a definite increase over last year. Jenny McGivern is the director of faith formation at St. Jerome Parish.
We have a sign-up day for faith formation, and when they do come, they fill out the application for their children, and I do ask them if they have their sacraments as well, and if they don't, they can also be here at the same time as their child to receive those sacraments.
At St. Cecilia's Parish in Wilbraham, 5 people entered the church at the Easter Vigil, including husband and wife Kristen and Tom Herview.
We heard the calling, and it's the way things are going in the world that, God is everywhere, and now we want him back in our lives.
Both Kristen and Tom were brought up Protestant. Kristen, whose father was Catholic, says she's always been drawn to the Blessed Mother.
Once I understood what was happening in the Catholic Church, it is so unimaginably amazing to me that you're sitting in Mass and you know everyone else across the globe is following the same order and we're all doing the same thing. We are all so united in that. And that really drew me.
Luisa Mentakidis leads OCIA, or the Order of Christian Initiation for Adults, for St. Cecilia's Parish.
They were not only an addition to the class, but to see two people come into the church who were so deeply in love with the church and brought so much to myself and my teaching team, who are cradle Catholics for many, many, many decades. It was really a beautiful thing to behold.
Father James Nolte is the pastor of St. Cecilia's.
I think there's something about the grounding of 2,000 years of faith and worship and knowledge, wisdom, love in the church that draws people. That it's not just something that someone came up with in an afternoon and thought this would be a great idea, that it's something that was founded 2,000 years ago by our Lord.
And the stories are full of the same hope and joy across the diocese. At St. Bridget's Parish in Amherst, 20 young adults entered the church. Blessed Trinity in Greenfield welcomed 10. St. Michael's Cathedral in Springfield, 15.
There is no doubt that in the last few years there has been a lot of momentum here in the diocese with youth ministry, young adult ministry, college ministry, and family ministry. There's been a stronger presence on social media, putting out the good news far and wide. And of course, as the bishop always says, God is still at work here.
I've always said God's not done with Western Massachusetts, and I believe that in the very depths of my heart.
And you can certainly tell that when the bishop is celebrating Mass, delivering a talk at the youth rally, or giving encouragement on Instagram. He is a joyful messenger.
And we just have to acknowledge that it is the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, working in our midst, and we need to get out of its way and be part of God's great love, because He's not done with Western Mass.
And so, as we celebrate the gift of the Holy Spirit and the birthday of the Church, we do so with a bigger family this year. Welcome home, everyone. Reporting for Reel to Reel, I'm Carolee McGrath.
May is also college graduation season, and last weekend, more than 400 students received diplomas from Elms College. During commencement ceremonies, the students were given sage advice that will push them to new heights. Michael Pedro has more.
Elms College held their annual commencement ceremony on May 16th in Springfield's MassMutual Center. Over 400 students walked the stage to receive their college degrees. Representing 17 states and 5 countries, this class was very diverse in both cultural backgrounds and majors.
What made me choose Elms was the great business program they had. I was able to connect with some of the professors before I came here, so I just felt really included, and I felt like the classes were something that I was definitely looking for in a school.
Rafael Artero is one of the 5 valedictorians of the class of 2026. An international student from Spain, Artero's path to Elms was different from most. Artero also had the honor of giving the class address.
To the faculty, staff, and administration of Elms College, thank you. Thank you for believing in us, for challenging us, for guiding us.
After Artero's speech, Elms College President Harry Dumais and Chair of the Board of Trustees Kathleen Kane presented medals and awards to some honorary graduates. One such honorary was James Keyes, the former CEO of both movie renting company Blockbuster and gas station giant 7-Eleven, 2 companies who have held spots in the Fortune 500 list. The students gave advice for some future Elms students. Here's what they had to say.
Honestly, trying to get as involved on campus as you can, because you kind of end up isolating within your major.
Marielle Jelemy.
Get connections wherever you can, get to meet new people, try different things out, and if you could join a team, as myself, I joined the volleyball team, I would definitely recommend that to anyone that wants to come to Elms.
For nursing majors, I would say use your resources and find your people. Nursing is a team sport, so when you can find people that help you, it definitely makes the journey easier.
Once the ceremony ended, the students spilled out into the streets, ready to make a difference in the world. No matter where life takes them, there's no doubt they will do great things. For Real to Real, I'm Michael Pedro.
Congratulations to the Elms College class of 26, and we wish you well in the future. And still to come on Real to Real, the National Eucharistic Pilgrimage is stopping in Western Massachusetts. I'll talk with Joe Austin, coordinator of the local leg, who will fill us in on the latest plans and how you can participate in this historic event. And Steve Kiltonick sits down with Wayne Soares as he salutes the American soldier this Memorial Day weekend. It's all still ahead on Real to Real, your window on the world around you.
Like Catholic TV on Facebook. Once you're there, you can join in on discussions, make friends with other Catholic TV fans, watch behind-the-scenes videos from the studio,
Just finished this today.
and stay up to date with the Catholic world. All this at facebook.com/CatholicTV.
When the National Eucharistic Pilgrimage makes its way north on the eastern seaboard, one of the 18 stops will be the Diocese of Springfield. The pilgrimage will pass through our diocese June 18th to the 20th. What a tremendous honor for sure. Joining me now is Joe Austin, Director of the Office of Missionary Discipleship, who has been coordinating the local effort. Hi, Joe. Thanks for being with us today.
Great to be with you. Thank you for having me.
So this is really a great honor for the Diocese of Springfield to be one of the stops on this pilgrimage that will be honoring the 250th anniversary of the founding of our nation. How did this selection all come about?
Great. So yeah, this is coming out of the National Eucharistic Congress that happened a couple of years ago. They got together and wanted to have a pilgrimage in honor of 250 years of the country. And so this pilgrimage is starting in Florida and coming all the way up the eastern seaboard. And it's such an honor and a privilege for us to be selected as the first stop in New England before the pilgrimage then continues on throughout New England and eventually ending up in Philadelphia.
And we have several sites that will be visited here in Western Mass during this time, right? What will be happening during these days?
Yes, the pilgrimage is first starting our diocese at the National Shrine of Divine Mercy in Stockbridge. We'll be having kind of a short visit there, joining in some of their different activities that they're having there. And then after that, it will be coming to Forest Park Amphitheater in Springfield. We'll be having a beautiful event there called Ignite, just celebrating the great diversity of our diocese. Have a lot of different kind of cultural communities involved in that, kind of sharing their own testimony in their own language, and also some live music and a candlelit procession. It'll just be a very beautiful event. Then shortly after that, the procession will be visiting St. Paul's Church in Springfield, visiting the Vietnamese community there. And then we'll be ending up at the St. Michael's Cathedral for all-night adoration, ending with kind of an hour from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. the next morning with the Latino community. Shortly after that, at 9:30, we'll be going to Mount Carmel for another visit to the Italian community, which is a really special moment for the pilgrimage because the pilgrimage is in honor of Mother Cabrini, who founded 67 different institutions around the U.S., and was one of the most incredible North American saints and American saints. And she was also the only Italian-American saint. And so just a really special moment to be able to stop at Mount Carmel and celebrate this great heritage. And then after that, we'll be going to St. Stan's and having a visit with the Polish community. And then after that, we'll also be having a visit with the Holyoke Veterans Home up in Holyoke, just a nice thing to do in the afternoon. And then after that, we'll end up at St. Patrick's Church in Northfield, where there'll be a short procession to the campus of Thomas Aquinas College, where there'll be all-night adoration. And the next morning, we'll have a short talk at 9 a.m. with Father Peter from Dominican Monastery. He'll be talking a little bit about the connection between St. Thomas Aquinas and his writings on the Eucharist. And then at 10 a.m. we'll have a Mass concelebrated by our bishop and the Bishop of Manchester up in New Hampshire. They'll be concelebrating this Mass. There'll be a short Eucharist procession on the grounds of the campus of Thomas Aquinas, kind of all around those grounds, ending with a handoff on a hill with this beautiful view behind it from our bishop to the Bishop of New Hampshire. So just a really great 3 days, only 3 days with 10 different events on 3 days. Really great time visit, kind of highlighting all the different important places in our diocese and our different kind of communities, and just excited for it to be here.
Sounds like something for everyone. How can people get involved in this great effort?
Absolutely. So definitely really recommending to parishes that they consider hosting pre-events. So pre-events can be anything like they can host a Cabrini film showing. So definitely reach out to my office if you're interested in hosting a showing at your parish. They can also offer things like holy hours, whether that's before the procession or during the procession. You could be offering kind of all-night adoration as it comes through your area, or kind of holy hours before, or even kind of maybe like a small group study to prepare for the pilgrimage to arrive. So that's one way in which kind of parishes can be involved. But also we just really welcome everyone to consider attending any of the 10 different events that we're having around the diocese, and really recommend, if you can, to register on the national website just so we can get a good head count. But of course everyone is welcome, you don't have to register, but it just helps us to get a good head count for it.
All right, Joe Austin, thanks so much. And I know there's been a great deal of work put into this visit, and I know it's going to be a wonderful way to highlight how Catholics have contributed to our nation.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And for more information on the Eucharistic pilgrimage, head over to diospringfield.org.
This nation was founded on a belief that truth matters, that freedom matters, that God matters. Now, He comes to us. Across cities, across highways, across a nation in need of renewal, Jesus Christ, present in the Eucharist, will journey across the United States, from St. Augustine to Philadelphia, not as an idea, not merely as a symbol, but truly present. He comes to heal what is broken, to unite what has been divided, to remind us who we are, one nation, under God. This is the 2026 National Eucharistic Pilgrimage. Come walk with Him. Come pray with Him. Come be part of something historic.
This Memorial Day, as we honor the men and women who have served and made the ultimate sacrifice for our country, Steve Kiltonick speaks with a Berkshire resident whose mission is to ensure that the stories and service of veterans from all wars are never forgotten.
You would be hard-pressed to find a non-veteran who has done more for veterans in Western Massachusetts over the past 2 decades than Wayne Soares. Before discussing Soares' dedication to America's military, first, a little background on the Clarksburg resident. Soares grew up in Falmouth, Mass., where he went to high school before coming to the Berkshires to play baseball at then North Adams State. After graduation, Soares worked for the Pittsfield Mets for 5 years, then moved to Hollywood, where he became a publicist for the legendary Lee Salters. When he returned home to the Cape, he began a career in radio with the sports station WEEI. Soares soon landed a job at ESPN Radio, working the overnight expanded Sports Center slot for 10 years. At an ESPN golf tournament, Soares met the legendary NFL Oakland Raider Otis Sistrunk. In 2012, Soares persuaded Sistrunk to allow him to perform on stage as a stand-up comedian at Fort Lewis, an Army base in Washington State.
My first big show that I've ever done, I got to admit, I was scared. 1,500 people in an amphitheater.
Soares brought down the house, even poking fun at a no-nonsense 3-star general who later came up to him after the show.
He almost ran up to me. He said, "Boy, you're one funny boop, beep." And I said, "Well, thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate it."
A natural on stage, Wayne started to book more comedy shows on military bases and hospitals. He was inspired by Bob Hope, who entertained troops overseas during America's wars.
Whenever I'm entertaining the troops, it's my job to make them laugh. They don't want sympathy and they don't want crying and, oh, I feel so bad for it. They want laughs, to give them a break, to give them a little bit of light from the darkness that might be surrounding them. And that's what I take it as a mission.
After each show, Soares makes a point to go out into the audience.
I have to say, thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jack. Pam, thanks for your service.
Over the years, Soares has taken his comedy show to military hospitals and bases around the world, including Hawaii, Afghanistan, Korea, Germany, and closer to home, Westover. About 10 years ago, on a whim, Soares decided to give acting a try. In 2016, Soares co-starred with Alec Baldwin in a mob comedy, The Curse of Don Scarducci, and then in a crime drama, Snitches. In between comedy and acting, Soares started to write a regular column, Veteran Spotlight, in which he tells the stories of vets from all wars. Soares started other programs for Berkshire Vets, which include partnering with a local restaurant to offer veterans a free lunch, a veterans meal delivery done in conjunction with the American Legion in North Adams, a wheelchair project that offers free wheelchairs and walkers to vets, an annual military golf classic in Falmouth, now in its 8th year, which benefits homeless and disabled veterans. The Mess Hall, which Soares hosts and features veterans who showcase their cooking talents. It aired on NBC for 2 years. He also speaks at many Memorial Day and Veterans Day ceremonies across the state, like this one in Falmouth. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial here in Springfield honors the men who served and died in the Vietnam War. However, unlike in previous wars, many of those who returned home were never welcomed with open arms.
I had a very, very dear friend of mine that was the proverbial Vietnam vet that didn't really talk about it, that came home to a lot of verbal abuse and a lot of ridicule. World War II, they came home, there were parades, the Korean veterans, they came home, they were welcomed, but the Vietnam veterans got nothing.
In response, in 2013, Soares produced and wrote Silent Dignity, a documentary about Vietnam vets and their spouses. His friend, actor Armand Assante, appears in the introduction.
The damage the Vietnam War did to 500,000 men that still to this day suffer from severe post-traumatic stress disorder is undeniable.
Each of the veterans explains about their combat experience and how it affected them.
Barry Funfar, another dear friend, very, very, very close. 127 missions as a door gunner in Vietnam. It wasn't the fighting or seeing what he saw that really affected him. He had PTSD, didn't know what it was.
Last year, Soares released his book, Honor to Serve in Their Own Words, a collection of interviews with 140 veterans from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Soares brings to life the experiences, the adventures, and the true camaraderie of these warriors, paying homage to their service and sacrifice. In February, Soares brought his latest veterans project to St. Mary's in Longmeadow called A Salute to the American Soldier, a military musical. Wayne was introduced by his friend of 40 years, Father C.J. Wojtakis. The interactive patriotic musical features live reads from Wayne, interviews, sing-along time period music, and footage from World War II, Korea, and Vietnam.
Their voices form a powerful chorus of sacrifice, resilience, patriotism, healing, and in some small cases, a bit of closure.
I want the people that come to this musical, this production, just to basically see and feel what our men and women in the military have gone through and go through every day.
In the closing segment, Celine Dion sings God Bless America over videos of men and women coming home. Wayne dedicates the program to his grandfather and hero, William Blink Soares, who served with the Navy Seabees during World War II.
He is a great resource. He's embedded his heart right into the veteran experience in general, which very few people have ever done. And for us, it's an honor to have him here today.
Over the past decades, Soares has developed many friendships with veterans. One in particular stands out, Narciso Chizo Massaconi of Cheshire. A Marine corporal who saw major combat at the Battle of Saipan and Iwo Jima, Chizo, as he was known, died May 9th at the age of 103. Soares first met and interviewed Chizo when he was in his 90s.
I spent a lot of time with him. We had a lot of laughs, never a cross word, always funny. Just had that quiet demeanor, and he had the best laugh and smile, I think, of anybody I've ever seen in my life.
Wayne visited Chizo on many holidays in his man cave in his garage, watching sports, drinking wine, and listening to Chizo reminisce about his war years.
He just he was very, very, very special, very close to me. A World War II hero, American patriot.
Wayne has received many awards for his work with veterans, including the JFK Peace Medal and a proclamation from the Mass House of Representatives. He also has a large collection of challenge coins from various military organizations and individuals giving for his contribution to veterans. At his veteran events, Wayne makes it known that he never served in the military.
It's one of the few regrets, that I have. It's not going, but a lot of people tell me now that I say, I've never served, and a lot of them, veterans, mostly, you are serving because you're giving back to our military. So I'm honored that they would say that to me.
Veterans are forever grateful to Soares as he continues to advocate for them, so their stories will never be forgotten. For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
And Steve says that Soares is already working on part 2 of Silent Dignity, The Consequence of Battle, which he hopes to release later this year. In his spare time, he's also learning to play the piano and tap dance, which he hopes will enhance his program, A Salute to the American Soldier, a military musical, which is presented at various venues across the state. And for this week, that's Real to Real. As our nation remembers those who have given the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation, this Monday, Memorial Day, masses will be held at 6 diocesan cemeteries. St. Michael's Cemetery, Gate of Heaven in Springfield at 10 a.m. and St. Aloysius Cemetery in Springfield at 9 a.m., St. Rose Cemetery in South Hadley at 9 a.m., St. Mary's Cemetery in Westfield at 8 a.m., and Calvary Cemetery in Chicopee at 11 a.m. A listing can be found at diospringfield.org. And be sure to follow the latest news of the Catholic Church both here in Western Massachusetts and around the world on our news and information website, iobserve.org. There you'll find articles that are prepared by our Catholic Communications reporting team as well as our partners at Our Sunday Visitor. That's iobserve.org. And we are also on Facebook. You can find us there at Catholic Communications. And I'll see you at the same time next week for another edition of Real to Real, your window on the world around you. We leave you now with this tribute to the brave men and women who will be remembered this Memorial Day.
Real to Real is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.